From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Tuesday, December 9th. Here's what we're covering on today's episode. New Mexico's 5-year streak of record revenue growth is ending. New estimates show the state will collect $13.4 billion in reoccurring revenue for the fiscal year ending in June of 2026, about $213 million less than last year and $322 million below what was projected in August. The decline stems mostly from decreasing oil prices and a drop in corporate income tax collections tied to the federal budget bill. Lawmakers say the downturn isn't a crisis, but does signal a more cautious budget season when the legislature convenes in January. Even with the slowdown, the state still has $105.7 million in, quote, new money, plus a one-time $512 million boost from higher-than-expected state land office oil and gas leases. Officials emphasized New Mexico remains in better fiscal shape than many other states. The governor's administration pointed to strong reserves and years of building up trust funds, now totaling over $64 billion, the second largest sovereign wealth holdings in the nation. However, with the Permian Basin oil production expected to peak soon and states spending up 80% since 2019, economists say lawmakers must ensure recent investments deliver results. Legislators have also signaled that tax cuts are unlikely this season. Federal tax and budget changes, including new deductions, layoffs, and tariff impacts, are already reducing some state revenues and could eventually affect hospitals, Medicaid, and food assistance programs, which all prompted 2 special legislative sessions that occurred this fall. New Mexico unveiled 3 new design options for redeveloping the 236-acre state fairgrounds, including one that would relocate the state fair entirely, and 2 others that would keep it in a smaller footprint. The plans, created by Stantec under an $850,000 contract, combine preservation of historic buildings and the tree-lined Main Street, with new features such as an event stadium, hotel, park space, mixed-income housing, retail, a school, and workforce training center. The fairgrounds, in use since 1938, are described by the state as underutilized and aging, and Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has pushed redevelopment as a, quote, once-in-a-generation opportunity. But the proposal has stirred debate, with many residents and Albuquerque mayoral candidates Tim Keller and Darren White wanting the fair to stay put, citing tradition, crime concerns, and gentrification fears. 2 designs maintain the fair on-site with varying levels of downsizing. One keeps the midway as seasonal parking and adds housing, a hotel, and a 10-acre park, and the second shrinks the midway further and adds an event center and museum. The third, most ambitious proposal would move the fair entirely and redevelop the full site with hundreds of housing units and 20 acres of new parks. A prior board-approved concept, estimated at $67.4 million, had already suggested new parks and demolishing some structures. The State Fair Commission will ultimately decide on the fair's future, with a public meeting set for Thursday and more input invited through early January. The University of New Mexico has received a $2.5 million federal grant to expand training for medical residents in its growing street medicine program. This delivers care directly to people who are living outdoors. UNM is one of just 25 programs nationwide awarded the 5-year grant from the Health Resources and Services Administration. The funding will allow family and internal medicine residents to work with mobile street medicine teams in Albuquerque and Shiprock, where UNM operates the nation's only medical residency based with the Indian Health Service. The program immerses young physicians in caring for people experiencing homelessness, often dealing with acute physical and mental health issues. UNM's street medicine effort began in 2021 in the back of a Subaru driven by physician assistant Lindsay Fox. It has since grown into a key training site and part of the Global Street Medicine Institute, which supports programs in more than 85 countries. Faculty says the work is transformative, where residents are gaining first-hand insight into health challenges tied to homelessness and often commit long-term to caring for vulnerable populations. The program's popularity has surged, with UNM leaders calling it one of the most influential experiences in shaping future doctors' careers and policy perspectives. New Mexico health officials will continue recommending that newborns receive the hepatitis B vaccine at birth, pushing back against a recent federal advisory committee decision that no longer endorses the long-standing practice. The New Mexico Department of Health said Monday that it still, quote, strongly recommends that infants receive their first hepatitis B dose within 24 hours of birth, aligning with guidance from the American Academy of Pediatrics. The stance comes after the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, now led by appointees of health Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. voted 8-3 to shift to, quote, individual-based decision-making for infants born to mothers who test negative for the virus, and suggested delaying the shot until at least 2 months of age. Since the birth dose recommendation began in 1991, hepatitis B infections in children and teens have dropped by 99%, according to officials. Infants are highly vulnerable. Up to 90% of those infected at birth develop chronic disease, and about a quarter die prematurely from related liver conditions. State health leaders say the vaccine remains a crucial safeguard, especially since babies can contract the virus from infected family members or caregivers who may not even know they carry it. New Mexico is among more than 20 states that set their own vaccine guidelines. A new state law taking effect on December 31st will allow New Mexicans to rely on the recommendations from medical groups rather than federal panels when it comes to setting childhood vaccine policy. And a stolen balloon Fiesta RC balloon named Patriot has been recovered, and police have arrested the man they say took it from a balloon Fiesta warehouse late last month. Jesse Sanchez is charged with non-residential burglary and larceny over $2,500 after officers tracked him down using surveillance footage, automated license plate readers, and his social media activity. Balloon Fiesta officials say the remote-controlled balloon, one of only 3 owned by the organization, was stolen along with nearly $10,000 in equipment, including a full RC balloon kit with its envelope, basket, remote, and inflation fan. Staff will now inspect the items to ensure that everything is intact. Police began investigating after an employee reported the theft on November 27th. 2 days later, a tipster recognized the suspect from news coverage and helped identify Sanchez. Footage showed a man pulling a handcart loaded with the stolen balloon while carrying a yellow fan. Balloon Fiesta leaders praised APD for its quick work, calling the recovery, quote, really great news for the organization. The leading news is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast, today you can expect sunny skies with a high near 59, and as for this evening, mostly clear with a low around 34. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.